Hello everyone, and welcome back to a quick little follow-up to our last video. Before we went over some of the basics of starting your draft, but I figured before the draft, it'd be a great idea to go over how you should round out your draft, and some of the traps that I've seen people fall into when it comes to drafting out your lower tier mons and finishing out your draft. Now, as a start, let's just quickly go over what is the purpose of lower tiers. Are you trying to be consistently bringing them? Probably not. It should come as no surprise that most of the guys in the lower tiers are pretty flawed, right? Like, they're down there for a reason, right? So, you're gonna struggle a lot if you try to force your way into bringing these lower tier squires every week, day in, day out. There's like a few exceptions to this. Stuff like Belly Bolt, stuff like Bronzong. But for the most part, you're not going to be looking to consistently bring these guys week to week. Are you trying to round out your typing? Kind of. Like, yeah, rounding out your typing is good. I'm not going to tell you that rounding out your typing is bad. But, like, there's more important stuff. Like, there's a lot of times where, this is a hypothetical, exaggerated example, but some guy will be like, man, the psychic type Origorio really rounds out my typing here. I need to draft it. Like, no. It's not what you should be trying to do with your lower tier Pokemon. Like, rounding out your types is not actually as important as it seems when you initially think of drafting. Like, remember, as I said before, these are not Pokemon that you are trying to bring all the time. Like, yeah, this Squire might overlap in the typing with one of your best mons, right? But you also only bring it when it's good. You don't really feel bad about leaving it on the bench. And if you run into a matchup where the typing that overlaps isn't very good, you can just not bring this lower tier mon. And you don't feel bad. If you leave them on the bench, they're not supposed to come week to week. What is much more important is jobs, okay? Jobs. If there is one single takeaway that I can leave you with after this video, it's that the most important thing you can do when grabbing your low tiers is to have a specific role in mind for them to fill. Having a low tier that's really good every once in a while is going to be much better for you than having a low tier that's just alright most of the time. Alright? Niche weaknesses of your core can be addressed with low tiers, and they can you can just bring them only when they're good, and you don't miss out much by leaving them on the bench. So you should be trying to look for specific roles for your low tiers to fit. Let's take an example of the core that we built in the last video, alright? Featuring Palafin, Ogerpon, and Iron Hands, alright? These three could have struggles into a bulky grass type, right? But if we tack on a low tier like an Articuno or a Charizard, then suddenly you can bring them when you run into this niche scenario, right? In this gen, there's not very many bulky grass types, right? There's no Ferrothorn. It's just stuff like Hydrapple or Arboliva, for example, right? Every once in a while, you run into these guys. Hey, this might be a great week for Charizard or Articuno. Are you going to bring these guys a lot of the time? No. They're not great every week. You're going to struggle if you try to bring Articuno or Charizard every week. But when you run into that Hydrapple, you're going to be very happy that you have that offensive ice type. It's going to pay off in the long run, and you're going to be very, very happy for it because Articuno is filling a specific job rather than just, hey, I need this typing. I don't really care what it's going to do. Alright? So, while you can't bring them week to week, you are going to be happy that they are on your team. Now, what are some of the key takeaways that we can take from this? Again, do not focus too hard on your type charts when you're finishing your draft. I promise you, if your team is like Ghost Week or something, then a single wordier holding back the floodgate is not going to help you that much when you're against the Dragapult guy. Alright? It's just not going to work in the long run. Again, if you all you look at is type charts and you see some Squire, like you add some Squire and it makes you look really bad against some specific type, I swear on my life, I swear, it's going to be okay. Alright? Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. It's very okay to double dip on weaknesses. It's very okay to double down on types with your low tiers, so long as your most important mons are not weak to whatever you just double down on. Alright? And if you have a higher tier check, what is more important is having a specific goal in mind for these guys to play. Alright? This can be a lot of things. It can be a bulky spin blocker. It can be to check grass types. It can even be something niche, like, I need this second spinner because there's this one specific set of scenarios where my high tier hazard removal can't play. So every once in a while when I run into this, I'm going to need a second spinner that can play into this. Alright, and that's when Avalug or something goes insane every once in a while. I don't really care, alright? Just so long as you have a specific role in mind for it. If you draft a lower tier mon expecting it to just be pretty good, you're just going to be disappointed, I'll be honest. You're not going to like them, you're not going to bring them, you're just going to be disappointed. That's not what this tier is meant to do, alright? They're flawed Pokemon, they're not good most of the time, but every once in a while, if you can get one single win out of your lowest tier Pokemon, that is good enough. I promise you they're already doing their jobs, alright? Because again, if you try to like force your Squire into this role where they're week to week and they have to show up, it's just, you're not going to be very happy with them. So, I mean, shorter video this one. I tried to script this one out, make this one shorter in general. Again, thank you very much if you've made it this far. Can't wait to see y'all at the draft later. Best of luck in the upcoming season. If you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button or something. I don't know. It'll go a long way. See y'all at the draft.